Hello everybody and welcome to my next video. So this video is going to be for block 5 for the hide and seek quilt. I did post a video for block 5-1. This one's going to be at least block 5-2 and 5-3. We'll see how quick we get through these two. I may make a different video for 5-4 and 5-5, but if I can fit it in here I will. So these are the fabrics we're going to use. This is going to be block 5-2. This is going to be block 5-3. All the fabrics for 5-3 came with month 5. 3 of the fabrics for month 5, block 5-2, came from month 2 actually. So these first 3 came from month 2. Kind of a unique thing that they're doing in this quilt because it is such an enormous quilt and so much fabric. Normally when you do a block of the month, you get all the fabric for that month, and if it's a repeated fabric, you'll get new fabric. So you end up with quite a lot of fabric left over, which is nice if you commit to doing more than one project with the fabric. But in order to keep costs down, Midway Pink Door did adjust where they actually, if they sent a fabric in a previous month, they are reusing it in future months, and they do let you know on the sheet if a fabric is reused, so you know if you can go hog wild on it or you have to save some for a future month. So it just so happened that all 3 from this particular block 5-2 are from month 2, and so I was able to pull those out easy enough. And so what I've been doing to organize, just so you can see too, so I have been keeping all of my months together in the bags that they come in and just labeling it with the month. So I knew these were all month 2, so I don't have to go searching from a stack of fabrics that have been all mixed together. All of my months have been kept separated, and I will probably keep them that way until the quilt is done, because I'm sure even in month 18 I might be pulling some fabrics from month 2. So I'm going to keep them all that way until everything is done, and then I'll intermingle all my fabrics together and do whatever I want with them. But that's kind of where we're at with that. So we're going to start with block 5-2, then we'll do 5-3. Some of these are going to be really straightforward. Cutting out our stripes are pretty easy. We've shown you how to do those a couple of times. So mostly the ones that are more fussy cut, we're going to focus more on, and we'll just do a really quick show of how to do stripes and dots and stuff like that. And hopefully this video will be helpful for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So first up on block 5-2 is going to be our stripe. Again, this is from month 2. And we are going to be using this template for these stripes, and I do need 10 of them. So we're going to open this up, see what we have left here. Obviously it's already been cut into with month 2. I'm going to try to ease out these. I generally don't iron my fabric. It's just another tool to pull out and plug in. So I try to just ease out the folds with my fingers before I start cutting, but once you wrap it around the fabric, that's going to get all tight and everything anyway, so it's really not that big a deal. So obviously I've used these diamonds before. These have all kind of wonky cuts to them, so we're just going to do our best to get 10 of these. I'm going to show you how I'm going to place just 1 or 2 and cut them out, and then we'll do, I'll do the other 10 off camera. It's pretty easy. So you can use your light, I do usually use my light board for the stripes, because the stripes are going to go where the horizontal line of the stripe is in the middle of the diamond. We'll zoom in a little, and my light board is not as bright as it normally is, but we'll work with it for today because I can't find my plug. So I want these end corners to be right on a stripe, and so that's my goal for all 10 of these. So it's pretty straightforward. Just put a little glue down. I don't even glue these 2. Normally I glue all 4 corners. I don't glue these 2 because it doesn't really matter where those land, but I will specifically put glue in the 2 corners that I do care where it lands, because obviously I want that to stay even when I'm cutting and basting and everything. So I just eyeball it, line it up really good, and then I usually just hold it down a little bit for a little while with pressure in order to make sure it doesn't move around. And then let's see if we can get one. If I go low enough, I guess I can get one over here. So I'll do these 2 and kind of show you just real quick. So again, you would want to do as many as the pattern says. I believe it's 10 for this one, but we're just going to show you 2 so you see the process. So I have those two placed. Then I'm going to cut them out, baste them, and do the other 10 of them. Simple as that for that fabric. All right, so that is the final result of the stripe. So I'm gonna make a few more of those, but that gives you the idea. So next up is going to be this polka dot, and I only need 2 of these. Oh, this was from this month. Yeah, this one was from this one. I'm like, why wasn't this used? I thought this was from the last one. So this is from this month. So I just need 2. And same with the polka dots. You don't have to line up your polka dots at all, but I have made the choice in this quilt to line them up so that the points of my diamond will be all in a line. So basically a line of dots going down the front. And the easiest way I've found to do this, I will use my light board, but the easiest way is to find a straight edge. I don't know if I have anything, so maybe I'll just use a template. So I like to have a straight edge along the dots that I'm going to use. I think that's the row I want, so that I know that I'm not accidentally picking a dot in the next row and my dots won't be straight down the middle, if that makes sense. Let me turn the light off. So hopefully you can see that a little better. We'll zoom in too. So can I even see? You know what? I can't really see the dots because they're white through, so it might actually be easier to do it without the light board for this. So what I'm going to do is kind of figure out, actually, I think the combo was good. Lightened up the bread a little. All right, so I'm going to use this row. I want it to be nice and straight. So I'm going to put my first arrow there and swing it down, but I want to make sure I'm in the same row. So I'm just using this to give me my straight line. So what I'm going to do is put glue down, and again, I'm probably going to glue all 4 corners for this because I don't want it moving around. We'll glue in the middle. So if I have my first point, and then I can use this, see I'm using this line here to make sure I'm getting to the right dot and not accidentally going up here or something. So I have my 2 points right in between the 2 dots, so that means my dots are going to go right down the middle. I don't know why I did that so far in. I could have started back here. Would I have been able to fit 2 if I did it back there? Probably not anyways. I guess not. That was a really weird spot to put that though. I'm going to take that up. That was, I don't know why I did that. All right, we're going to do this again. I am trying to somewhat conserve fabric, so I don't know why I did it so far over. So we're going to do this row. I'm just going to put this down so I know where my straight edge is. And it's going to go to that dot. Okay. All right. That's a little better. This is why I do these videos. This is the whole kit and caboodle. This is how my brain works while I quilt. I do redo this stuff and whatever, so no editing here. You see it all. Okay, so I don't think I can do one in the same, well, actually, no, I think that's gonna be too close. So I think I'll come down a little bit because I do want a nice healthy seam allowance. So if I come down to here maybe, and I only need these 2 out of this fabric. I'm assuming this fabric is used again because we're using so very little and they gave us quite a lot of this. Yeah, it's used in a few fabrics in the future, so you don't want to use up too much fabric, but this should be fine. So we're going to use that dot. I'm going to take my straight line again. So I'll start here, so this will be the end part of my straight line. just do, again, glue on all 4 corners. And I can see that my starting point is going to be here, and my end point is going to be there. And then I can take this guy out and give it a nice press. I do try to press with pressure because it really does adhere it to the fabric a little better. So again, I'm just going to cut these 2 out, baste them, and then actually this fabric is done. I don't have to do any more. So we'll do that next. All set with our dots. So these look good. So you can see the dots go straight down the middle. So that was pretty straightforward to do. So we just need 2 of those, so those are all set. And actually, I'm not quite out. I was going to show you how to change the glue, but I'm not quite out of glue yet. I do like to use as much as I can. Some people even scrape, because there is a lot of glue actually that's wasted. So if you have like a little spatula or something, you could scrape it out. I don't do that personally, but you certainly can. But once this runs out, probably be on our next one, I will show you how to change it. I do like glue basting. Obviously, thread basting is going to be cheaper because you already have thread and a needle. I would suggest if you thread baste that you still use glue. You won't use nearly as much to place the paper on your fabric so that it doesn't move. I have only done 1 quilt thread basting, and the reason why I haven't done it since is because it was a hexagon quilt, and I noticed that my first fold over was a nice, good, even seam. And then when I got to my last fold over, it was a teeny tiny seam because my paper kept shifting on me. So if you just put a little dot of glue down, the paper won't shift at all, especially when you're doing these where you have to line up all these images and stuff. Paper won't shift at all. You can thread baste the rest and it will be fine. And honestly, I might try that again in the future. I just like the glue. It's nice and quick and easy. Yes, it does cost a little bit more, but it's certainly not a necessity, except that, like I said, I would have it just put your papers down, but you will use probably 1/10 of the glue that you would basting all of the sides down. So that's just a little tip. So we are all set with the dots. So the next easy peasy fabric is going to be these hexagons. This is a fabric that came from month 2. So this one should be a little chopped up, which it is. And this is going to be, we're going to need 10 of these. And I'm guessing I won't be able to use that because these are usually go. So the hexagons are, again, another fabric that I do try a little bit to visually line up. I don't necessarily use my templates for this. I just try to do it visually so that they all look pretty similar. These are not actually going to be touching, so there's not going to be any repeated pattern, so it doesn't have to be super, super precise, but as long as they're all very kind of laid out the same way, then you'll get the same look throughout the block. So that's what I aim for. So we'll go 4, 5, turn this on. It's not very bright today for some reason. I gotta charge it, but we'll make it work. Oh yeah, I can see through it. Okay. So hopefully I'll zoom in a little. Hopefully you can see that with me. So you can kind of see the hexagons right through the middle of this, and you get a set of 9. It's basically 3, 3, 3 offset when you're doing this. So this is a little too far over because obviously I won't have so I got to find a set of 9, and I believe I can get 3 in each row. So I have a so basically what I'm eyeballing is that these 2 corner hexagons are pretty even. So it actually surprisingly does not go completely straight. It's a little off. So however you center this, because this is not exactly a diamond, those 9 pieces, just make sure you're doing it the same for all of them. So that's where I'm going to put mine. And again, I'm going to do all 4 little corners so it doesn't move. And I gotta find that spot again. And just press it down. And that's it. So I'm just gonna do a couple of these. I think I can fit 3 in a row. We'll see. I'll try it. So next one. That's too close. So next one would be here. So let's go ahead and put glue. So again, trying to center those 9 hexagons, and let's see if we can get a third. I can only do 2. I think I can only do 2. Okay, so that's kind of, you can see that's how it was before too. So I can fit 2 in a row. I need 10, so it's going to be 5 rows. So I'll just do these 2 for now, show you how they're cut out and cut and basted, and show you the end result. Okay, so that is what they look like. So again, you can kind of see that it's not gonna line up perfectly. You actually usually end up with one side that has more hexagons than the other, but I just put them together. They all end up the same. So I put them all facing the same way, but I'll need 10 of those, but I just did the 2 to show you for now. So next up, we are going to work on one of our more fussy cut fabrics. Actually, we'll work on our easier one. We'll do our goldfish. So with the goldfish, in the cutting pattern, only one actual goldfish is used, and then the pink design is used in the back. And I was kind of like, I want to maybe showcase another goldfish because there's 4 of these pieces that are shown. But before I did that, I went and looked at the overall quilt and where this piece was going to land. And the place that I was going to put the second goldfish is kind of in the bottom right corner of this block. And that particular piece is actually going to get mostly cut off once we do our border. It's really just a filler piece to make sure that you have a straight line. It's actually the corner, the bottom right corner piece. And so that goldfish is going to get completely cut out. So that is a tip to, if you are going to make some changes, which I absolutely suggest that you make it your own, make a few changes, you know, whatever you want. But if you are going to make some changes, definitely make sure that it makes sense with the overall placement of the block and where it is. So due to that, we are just going to stick with the 1 goldfish and then 3 pieces of pink, basically, that go feed into the goldfish. That's going to be what we're going to do. And is this fabric reused? Let's see. It's always good information to know. This is reused, but we only need 1 goldfish for the next time it's used. So I can kind of cut into this however I want, because I was kind of thinking if I do I have a repeat? I may not have a repeat. This is a small piece, so I may not have a repeat, because I was thinking, so the way the main 3 that I have to do fall is we're using, well, I think we could use, and again, the repeats aren't going to be, but so they go like this, and like this, and like this. And I was thinking if I had repeats, I would need 3 repeats that I could actually cut it out so it formed the actual picture here. But you would need 3 repeats for that, because otherwise you won't get all 3 pieces. And it looks like I do not have anything that has 3 repeats. So the closest I have is I have this guy and this guy. So I have 2 repeats there. But I don't think that I will be able to make it work even though it's backwards. I don't know, maybe I could with the one that's backwards. I might give it a go. It's a little fancy for just this little corner, but that was kind of the fun of this particular quilt, is that it is a little bit fancy. So I think I'm going to give this a go and try and cut them so that they line up like this with the pattern, and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do that. So first I have to figure out where I want to take my pieces from. So I have 3 and 1 is backwards. So I have to be conscious of that. I don't know if I can make that. How can I make that work? I don't know. I have to think about this for a second. I'll come right back. Okay, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I just don't think it's going to work. This piece of fabric's not big enough. So rather than stressing out about it, I'm just going to pick a fish I like, and then just... And then just, I don't know, pick a swirl or something, I guess. Just make it easy on myself. I'm just not going to make it overly complicated. So which fish do I like the best? That's the real question. I kind of think I like this guy that looks a little freaked out. The other one I liked was this one that was hiding. So let's see, let's put this on. Ooh, I think I might like the hiding guy. And then I could do more pink here and more green here. All right, let's do that. Let's not dwell on this. I think it's good to think it over and try and decide what you like, but I wouldn't dwell on it too long. Obviously, we're not trying to make this project 1,000 times longer than it has to be. If this easily had 3 repeats, I would 100% line them all up, but it doesn't, and I'm not going to really be able to make it work, so we're just going to do this instead. Okay, but what I do want to do is be conscious of how, you know what, I might just actually bring this down, so I'm going to get some of the fish in there. I don't want the fish in there, but I probably can do this side that way. So this is the angle that it's going to actually fall on the quilt. So all I'm going to do is move it down so I have enough seam allowance, and that'll give me some of the treasure chest, little interest there. So we'll just do that one that way. And then everything's kind of upright because I know the angle is correct. So I'm just going to just eyeball it. That should be plenty of space. And I would do that on the other side, but I don't really want any of the goldfish in there, because if I'm not going to have, you know, a whole thing. So actually, what I might do, because this will be the angle as well, I would normally, so try, maybe I'll do it, right, because this would be the same. I'm going to move, no, I can't get him in. Okay. Let's see, let's think about this. Excuse me. I'm going to try and keep the angle. Let's see if I can do this without changing the angle. Of course, I have no glue, so that didn't make sense. Oh, I'm so silly. All right. So I want to keep the same angle. So this is what sometimes. So I'll just put a diamond down. That'll make more sense. So this is kind of the section I want. So it shows some blue, a little bit of pink. Hopefully it'll line up good. So obviously I'm not going to glue this diamond down. This is just so I can get the right angle by gluing. So I'm going to put glue in the 4 corners, glue it down, and this is the angle I want. Okay. So that gets me the correct angle. I take the other one away, and hopefully that cuts out good. All right, so I'm going to cut these 3 out and baste them, and then I'll show you what they look like together. Hopefully they came out good. And oh, I do have one more. I have one more that I have to do. Actually, no, I'll just do it real quick because, and I think this one had the little goldfish, but it had it going out of the quilt, which is weird. So how do I, so I want like the actual goldfish. I think I want it on this side so that, but I can't do it there. You know what? Whatever. I'm just going to do this. Again, this is another one of those overthinking. This particular piece, this is one of the edges. It's really going to mostly get cut off. Like, literally, you're probably only going to see this top corner. But we just leave it on for now so that has stability, and we'll deal with it later. But for now, I'm just going to put this little goldfish in the corner. I know he's going to get cut out anyways, but we'll make him look pretty until he gets cut out. So those are my 4 pieces. I will cut them out and baste them and show you what it looks like. All set. All right, so let's show you what these look like. So we got, this was the aqua sorrel. This was going to be my bottom piece. So I'll go down here. This was, so these like this. More like this. Oop. So this is already coming unglued, so I'm just going to re-glue that real quick. I try to go a little light-handed on the glue, which does mean sometimes it comes up a little. Just don't be afraid to put a little more, but generally it will stay in place. And yeah, that didn't really come out the way I thought it was going to. I kind of expected the pink to be like this, to be honest. This is what I was hoping for, but that's not gonna work because that's the wrong angle. Do I hate it enough to change it? Probably not, because this is just at the bottom of the quilt. So I can either do all pink and a little bit of aqua, or I can do all aqua and a little bit of pink. All right, well, I think I'm not going to change it. It's not exactly what I had envisioned. I was hoping my splash was actually going to be like this, but it would have to come down. It's obviously going the wrong way, this way. So it's either going to be all aqua tuckage. I'm probably going to do pink, to be honest, but that is for future Rachel to figure out. And I guess I can redo it later if I really want to. I do kind of like this swirl, though. I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. What if I change sides? Ooh. Ooh, see? This is why you play around with stuff. Maybe I like that. Oh, you know what? That probably was the right way. I wasn't thinking of it backwards. This is the way it was supposed to be. That makes so much more sense. See? You just gotta keep playing around with it. And then this one is loose down here, and my fish is definitely, unless I do him upside down, he's definitely gonna be out of the quilt, but he can swim until he gets cut off. Cool. Now the hope is I remember that when I go to actually make the make the block. But either way, these are all set, so we're good to go. All right. That actually worked out perfectly, even though I thought it didn't. So next on this one is going to be the eyes, the eyes. So this came from block 2, month 2, sorry. And we've used a little bit. I didn't really worry too much about lining up repeats in month 2 because, again, that was a block that's going to get mostly cut off as well. So it really wasn't that big a deal. But I think for this block, because it's actually our center, so this is going to be our entire center, I think I might try to find where the repeats are and work really hard to do all 10 pieces on the same repeat. We'll see how that works out because I have not looked to see yet where the repeats are. But this fabric is not going to be used again, so I don't have to worry about that. We're going to use these skinnier diamonds to do this. So I guess the biggest thing is just making sure I have the same repeat the whole way. And I'm probably going to use my template for that. So that way I can make sure it really falls in line. So I can use this template to make sure that I am exactly where I need to be. Although these are really not. I wonder if I could eyeball it. I don't know. I think I might even be better off eyeballing it, to be honest with you. So we got pink, blue, purple, white, this. Are these? How far down do they go? Is it that close of a wow, this repeat's actually really close. It makes me feel like it's wrong. I guess not. Okay, so that's what we're going to do is we're just going to choose a repeat. So I'm going to start with this pink blue, I guess. I really would prefer to cut out any of the red, but I don't think I can. And maybe it's not so prominent when we're on this side. I'm not sure, but so we're going to do pink blue. We want to make sure we're in a nice straight line. So I'm going to turn on my board and see how if we can just eyeball this, to be honest. That might not be my best idea, but the problem with this is these are so small that even if I'm off a smidgen, it's gonna show up. So I don't know if even my template is really, I think just finding an anchor point is gonna be my best bet. So pink blue is where I was going to start. And I think if I put the blue of the eye right up in there, and then the bottom is in the middle of that white eyeball. And let's see if we can do that again. So when you're doing this one, like I've been showing you guys just doing 2 at a time just to kind of show you. I would definitely do all 10 of these, especially if you're eyeballing like me. So I think this is going to be too close, so we're going to skip a repeat. I would definitely do all 10 of these because you want to be able to see that these are all falling in the same line. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to place all 10 and then I will come back and cut them out and baste them and show you what it looks like. We'll do all that on fast, but I'm just eyeballing. Hopefully it works. I'm going to take the chance and they look pretty good, so we'll see. All right, so I have my last one basted. So I think I did a pretty darn good job eyeballing when I put the papers down. So as I've talked about in previous videos, I made sure that all of my cutout papers were facing the same way. So when I was basting them, I had them in a stack over here, and I made sure all the same eyeball was at the top for every single piece. This way my folds all go the same way, and when I go to stitch these together, it's going to make it so much easier to line everything up if all your folds are going the same way. So actually I'm going to show you a little trick. One good way of really being able to tell if you did a good job lining up is how close your repeats get on your edge. I am a little bit off on some. I mean, they might not be lined up great, but that is pretty darn good repeats. So I think we'll be able to make it work when we are stitching. And so let's see where we are at. Oh, you know what I didn't think of is that the edges aren't, you know what? That's gonna be fine. It's a little different than I was thinking, but I think this is going to work out really good. And as we're stitching, we're just going to line up all these little lines so that they repeat well. But they're all going to be the same. I think this came out pretty good. I am very happy with it, so that came out really good. So we have all of our pieces for block 5-2, and then I'm going to work on block 5-3 in this video for you as well. And if you have the cutting guide, you'll see how to put these all together. It should be pretty straightforward. So next up will be block 5-3. Okay, so block 5-3 is going to have these 3 fabrics. So we're just going to go through this real quick. So we are going to fussy cut the rainbow and the deer, and the stripes are done in the cutting assistant the standard way. I think I'm going to do them a little different because I've done them the standard way a couple times. I think I want a different one, so we'll play with that one last. I'm actually going to start with the rainbows. That's the easier one of the 3 right now. So if you have the cutting assistant, you may notice that the rainbows look more like a lime green in the picture that they printed, but there is no lime green rainbows. There's only yellow rainbows. Lime green rainbows don't exist. So we are going to use the yellow that they provided. That is the correct fabric. And I'm going to use my template that I made out of acetate to trace on. And I do have a video, if you go back in my videos, of how I made this. So the rainbows are going to be going on this template here, and in the cutting assistant they are centered right in the middle of the template. So I think what I need is my ruler. Where's my ruler go? So we're going to mark the crosshairs on this template so that I know where the center is, and I am using a wet erase marker, not a dry erase, so it stays on there until I wet the template. I do suggest wiping off your markings after you use them and not leaving them on. I left a few on my template and they actually kind of stain the acetate. You gotta rub real hard. So if you wipe them off the same day, it's not nearly as hard to get it off. Just a little suggestion. Okay, so I have my crosshairs. So that's going to get my first rainbow centered. Of course, I'm going to draw on the template where exactly the rainbow is going to hit every time, but this will get the first one centered. So we just want to make sure that we are completely straight here. So you want those lines right at the bottom of, actually that's not centered. So where do we want it? We want it to hit halfway. Ooh, how do they do it? Let me check. Hold on. Nope, it's definitely centered. Okay. So if you do the crosshairs of the center of the block at the bottom of the rainbow, then the rainbow won't be centered in the block. So what I'm going to do is do the crosshairs. Let's see, I think centered. So this is kind of an eyeball thing. The most important is that they're all the same. It's just the first one is going to determine where we're going to put it every time. So I think I'm going to put my center crosshair at the top of roughly the blue part of the rainbow. And we're just going to draw. So we want to draw the bottom of the rainbow and then of course around. And I think I'll do a couple on the outside as well. Not that it's as big a deal, but it'll just help me make sure I'm not wonky. So that should be good. So the way this template works is we have the drawing, then we're going to take a piece of paper, open the template, and put the paper down. And hopefully all 10 of them will be the same. Actually, I don't think we need 10. We need 7. So we need 7 of these. So the big thing is when you're doing these templates, I made a little tag to pull the door up because you want to make sure your plastic template does not move when you open the door, otherwise your paper isn't going to end up in the right spot. And I might actually, I probably should do this in conjunction with my light board so that I can see that rainbow underneath a little better and make sure that it looks centered. So that looks good. I'll do a second one just to show how it works. So again, you want to use your template. So obviously I can't do this because it goes into that one. Can't do this one. So I'll have to come down here. Will be the next one I can do. So I want to make sure it's all lined up nice and good. Now we're going to put some glue. And like I said, I do the 4 corners so nothing shifts, a little bit in the middle. Make sure that's held down. I don't know if that one. All right, it's close enough. These are not going to be touching. They're kind of on the outside. So you want it to be precise so that your eye sees the difference, but they don't have to be like within millimeters. You're not going to be creating a pattern or anything like that. So I'm going to do the rest of these, cut them out, and show you what they look like. Okay, so we have the rainbows all set, and they look pretty good, pretty consistent. Like I said, they're not going to be next to each other, so I think that is definitely good enough. So let's move on to the next fabric. And I usually don't play around with these fabrics before I take these videos, so you really are seeing my whole thought process and figuring things out in real time while I'm doing this. So the next fabric is going to be, I love this fabric too, these deer, kind of watercolor polka dot deer. And it looks like I need 10 of them. I do want them to be very similar, but again, they're not going to be touching. So while you want them to be precise, it doesn't have to be overly so, just because they're not going to be creating their own pattern. And so something that I always check is if this fabric is going to get reused. That way we can know. Okay, it does look like, oh, it gets used in another block. Okay, so it doesn't get used in another block month, but it does get used in another block, but not the deer themselves. So for this block, we're going to use the deer, and then the other block uses this feather for the centerpiece. So that should be fine. We have plenty of fabric, so that's good. Good. And so we're going to start with this side. So first up, we want to, I guess, figure out where our repeat is, and then make our marks, I guess. So it looks like, so which is kind of unusual. So it looks like we have a repeat here, here, and here. Sometimes when they're this close, this flower or something's a little different, but it looks like, you know, the two flowers. So it looks pretty exact, which is cool. So that means we can not have to use so much fabric. Yep, that's what they say the repeats are too. Okay. So I need 10 of those. So we just gotta flip it over and we gotta make our markings. We're gonna use the acetate. Do I use the acetate? Actually, you know what? I might use the tape method on this one, actually. I like that one a little bit better when they're to be precise. My acetate is good for stuff like the rainbow, where it doesn't have to be like mint spot on, but when I want it to be mint spot on, I like to use the tape method. So we'll show you that. So the first thing you do is make your first template, or make your first wrapped piece. And you don't have to worry about marking anything or anything like that. So I just take my cardboard piece and place it where I want it. And they're going to be the same for every single one. So I just want to make sure I'm getting a picture, an image that I like. You don't have to follow the template, the cutting instructions exact. If you want to see more antler, you can go a little higher. If you want to see more face, you can go a little lower. I think I like somewhere in between. So we have a good amount of space, some antlers, and the nose is kind of in the middle. They're all facing the same way too. That's funny. All right, so now we want to put some glue on. So this is going to become our template, this first one. So you don't have to worry about marking lines or anything like that. You just put it exactly where you want it. So I want his nose, I want that blue flower. I want to make sure he's centered. Okay. Make sure it's nice and pressed down. And then we're going to cut it out. And actually, I'll turn the light on because we actually do not need the light board anymore. Or, well, for a little while. We will need the light board again, but. So I like to cut out my pieces by cutting a little slit and not cutting from the edge. It holds the fabric together a little better, so I can fold it up and store it away. Just makes it a little less floppy. Obviously, if a piece is near the edge, I am going to cut in from the edge, but this one's not really that close to the edge. So I just do a little slit and then go around. All right, so this is cut out. So I'm just going to baste this and just trim it a little. Sometimes I do my seam allowance a little bigger. I never do a 1/4 inch. I think the standard after a 1/4 inch is 3/8, 3/5, 3/8. So a little less than 1/2 inch, but not quite, but a little bigger than 1/4 inch. Oops, I am not paying attention to what I'm doing. I started on the wrong corner. So, as I've said many times in my video, the biggest thing with this quilt is making sure you always start in the same spot every time when you're quilting. So my deer head is going to be up, so I should be starting up here. So I just undid the first one I did. That's fine. And then we'll go around. I go counterclockwise. If you go clockwise, that's fine. You just want to make sure you always go clockwise. All fixed. Okay, so that is my piece, and this is going to be my template now. So I need tape. All right, so I just use regular tape for this. Let's put this off to the side. So we're going to find our next piece, and I do need 10 of these, so this process is going to be repeated 10 times. So this method relies on eyeballing, and you may say, you know, I'm not good at eyeballing, blah, 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 blah. Listen, you are going to be looking at this quilt with your eyes, so your eyes definitely have the ability to eyeball like I do in most of my projects. So you can make it work, I promise. And if it's off a little bit, it's really not that big a deal. This is supposed to be fun. We're not machines. We're not AI. I don't like AI. We are humans making these things, and it's supposed to be a little loved and a little wonky and a little, you know, hopefully your grandkids will look at it and see all your mistakes and love them for it because they know it was handmade by you. So just remember that when you're doing this type of thing, it's fun to be exact and precise, but also forgive yourself if you make small mistakes. Don't make it a big deal. All right, so that's my spiel for today. So what we do is we line this up. I'm basically using this now as my template. So I'm doing it from the front of the fabric. I put 2 pieces of tape, if you can see that glare, that overhang, so they're going to get pressed down once I find my spot. And I'm basically lining this up like it's in the same, so it's in the same exact spot. So I'm using all the pieces of color and pattern and everything around this to line this up. And this isn't lining up. Let me see, let me try this one. And it should line up pretty darn precisely, but you got to get your angles right. So sometimes you have to twist it a little to the left, a little to the right. And you want both sides lined up. Okay, so it does work. Let me try this one again. And these, although these are repeats, they may not be like exact repeats. So you may find either you don't want to use it or that close enough is close enough. Okay, actually I got this one pretty good now. So you just want to fill around with it and then tape it down once you have it in the exact right spot. So it's nice and tight and stays there. And then we will turn on our black light. I mean our work light here, or light board. And so now you can see you have a dark spot when you're using the light board where your paper should go. So now we're going to take a piece of cardboard, our next one that we're going to cut out. We're going to do dots in the 4 corners. We don't want this to shift at all, so use plenty of glue. And we're going to place it down exactly where that is placed. And you want to press it nice and good so it does not shift at all. And then you can peel the template off the back, and we're going to reuse the same one over and over. You want to reuse the same one because if you make the next one the new template, you definitely could get way off by the time you get to the end. It's kind of like playing a game of telephone. Where you start might not be where you end. So you want to use the exact same template for all 10. So even if you're off a little on one, that little bit of being off doesn't continue per se. Okay. So again, I'm going to cut into the fabric. We're going to cut this out. I'll do this in fast motion for you and show you what it looks like. All right, so we have this one all basted, and let's see how close we got. Oh yeah, that looks good. That's actually super. Even this, you can see even on this little corner, even that little green dot matches up. So that method works so well. My favorite method for ones that you want to be super precise. So we will just keep going with the original template, like I said, and get the rest of these all cut out and basted, and that'll finish this part of it. But I'm going to do that later, so now that you can kind of see how the method works, and show you in this video how I do the stripes. So I believe we are reusing, this is fabric from a different month. Yep, so this is fabric from month 2 as well. And the stripes for the center of this particular block go in the same way. So they're supposed to go like this, so it forms rings. And I've done this a couple times now within the quilt, and not that I won't do it again, but I was thinking for this particular block I might switch it up a little bit. So this is what the cutting assistant calls for, is this type of style. I think I'm going to go for the pinwheel style. I kind of like the pinwheel style that we did with the large stripes, and I think I'm going to do the same thing with these stripes, which is something different that we have not done for a center with these stripes before. So it does mean we're going to lose all of our little extra that we kept, but that's okay. We'll save that for another project. So how that's going to work, and I've never done the stripes that way, so we're just gonna wing it, to be honest with you. So how I foresee that working is very similar to how the chunky stripes in the last block worked, in the first block, I mean, of this month, first block, so that's in a different video, is rather than having the stripes go through the center of this, which is what you would do if we wanted it to have that rotation, I'm going to actually have the stripes, these sit on the stripes like this, and that's going to cause like more of a pinwheel effect. And I'm just going to go for it, not going to do a test run or anything. So I think for this video, I'm just going to place 3 of them, cut out 3 and see how they look, and then do the rest of them after the fact, but that'll give you an idea of how this works. So let's go ahead and use our light box. This is going to be another eyeball technique. So we're going to pick a line. So let me get my glue. So I think I'm going to do all 4 corners for this so that we know it doesn't move. Glue in the middle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have these sit on top of the red line, so that way they're all the same. So I'm going to have a sit on top of the red line, And make sure, just like in the first video, you want to make sure that all of your, so if I accidentally did a template like this, then they're not going to rotate right. So you want to make sure all of your pieces are facing the same direction so that you get the correct pinwheel effect. Okay, so I did just 5. I'll do the other 5 later, but just to show you how these will come together. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna like this. All right, so that's how those will look. I really like that a lot. Then we will have the deer nested in there and the rainbows along the outside. So I think that looks really nice. So I'll just put this one here just so you can see. That still has the tape, but just to get the idea. All right, so that is the end of block 5-3. So this was block 5-2 and block 5-3 together. Hopefully this video was helpful. Please feel free to comment below if you have any questions about this particular project. If you have any questions about a project you're working on that's not this one, that's fine. I'm always happy to answer questions. Let me know your progress on any projects you're working on. And I will hopefully have another video for 5-4 and 5-5 out soon. But thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you click like because my videos are long and they aren't the usual ones that YouTube will put in their algorithm. But the more you like it and share it, the more that YouTube will know that it is a good video, hopefully. Make sure you do subscribe to my channel because I post my videos pretty sporadically so that YouTube will alert you when a new video comes out. And hopefully all of you have a fun time quilting, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.